Hey, I want to let y'all know, for everybody that enjoyed the playback streams, we are back on Playback TV today. Myself and my guy NZ for 3 will be watching Nuggets Clippers game at 3:30 on Playback TV. Join us, playback.tv/runitbackphilly. Let's run it up again, man. And we might stick around for Knicks Pistons, because go Pistons, fuck the Knicks. I want to make a list. This is my new thing. I make lists now. I'm a list maker. I want to make a list of NBA franchises in worse shape than the Philadelphia 76ers. And here's the 4 teams that I have as possible. We're going to look at their cap situations and their future draft picks and things like that and try to decide if these teams are worse off than the Philadelphia 76ers. Mavs, Hornets, Jazz. The Jazz are stacking draft picks and aren't tied to horrible contracts. The Hornets aren't really tied to too many horrible contracts either. The Mavs, that's a good one. Maybe Mavs? Should we put the Mavs in there? But anyway, here's the 4 teams that I have. Y'all let me know if you got some other teams that you think are actually worse off than you gotta remember how bad of a situation the 76ers are in contract wise and draft pick wise. But I say this because the Chicago Bulls just crack me up all the time. They are one of the funniest NBA franchises of the past, since the early 2000s. Very much like the 76ers. They just do everything wrong, and if everybody in charge just sounds like they have no idea what they're doing. And the president of basketball operations for the Chicago Bulls, for those that, don't follow other teams and other teams' drama and politics and just follow the Sixers, if you have things to say about Daryl Morey, just listen to what the president of basketball operations for the Chicago Bulls has to say when a reporter asks him, basically, why do you refuse to take a step backwards and get to the top of the draft? Like, basically, why do you want to be mid forever? You know what I mean? Why do you refuse to accept that to change your franchise, you have to get franchise-changing players? Just listen to this, man. This is a wild answer.
Why are you guys so against taking major steps back when the history of the league says that top 5 picks is the quickest way to turn things around and sustain things? Either drafting that pick or trading and acquiring that pick. It seems like you guys are so stuck on this philosophy of competitive integrity, and when the history of the league screams at you that that's wrong.
Well, I do believe in, the way we wanted to build this roster is basically having players that have experience to kind of shrink the timeline and continuously, look for other ways to improve your roster. And I truly believe, I think Billy spoke before and after every game about how important it is for this young group to focus on winning and what goes into winning, instead of just rolling the ball out and tell them to go and develop. So this is very important for us, and that's the path we chose.
What is wrong with some of these people? How are you in a position like this and have no idea what you're talking about? He basically just said, we thought that we could just keep telling players who aren't good enough that they need to value winning, and we thought that basically we could teach them to win by continuing to tell them that winning is important. What? What are you saying, bro? Basketball, there's 5 guys on the floor versus the other team's 5 guys. You need better play. They're not good enough. The Bulls have a terrible roster. And to go from, they extended Lonzo Ball. You had Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. To end up getting rid of all three of those players and didn't get a first-round draft pick in return is absolutely insane. That's absolutely insane. And they trade Caruso straight up for Josh Giddey because, I don't know, they think that he's going to revel. It's insane. But these GMs are just like, bro, you don't have good enough players. At least Daryl Morey knows you need stars in the NBA to be good. Except Daryl Morey. So basically, this guy is basically the exact opposite of Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey believes that you have to have 3 superstars on your team to be good enough to win. And even if they are 35 years old and trending downward, you're still better with those has-been superstars than you would be with a deep roster. This guy seems to think you don't need superstars at all. You just need experience, a deep roster, and then you can teach them how to win. But like, bro, you're not good enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, your mom told you growing up you can do whatever you set your mind to. You know what I mean? But at the end, there's definitive answers when it comes to things like the NBA, right? If you're 5'6", you're probably not going to be an NBA player, right? And you could tell a kid straight up when he's in high school. Maybe you shouldn't tell him. Maybe you should let him believe whatever he wants, and maybe he does go become the next Muggsy Bogues, who was a once in a lifetime midget in the NBA. But basically, you're straight up not good enough. You're not tall enough. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. It's not going to work. Your players aren't good enough to win, but you think you can just tell them to win, and then you end up just absolute mid. Just the epitome of mid. And the Chicago Bulls are they worse off than the 76ers, though? What was I looking at? I was looking at the Kings. Let's look at the Bulls. Are the Bulls worse off than the 76ers? Oh, yeah, I forgot I was making a list. We got to go back to the list, but let's look at their payroll. Lonzo Ball is extended until 2027, $10 million a year. That's nothing. Vucevic, free agent after 26. Yeah, they're not tied to any crazy contracts. What do their draft picks look like? 2025 first round draft pick. But that's the problem. They won't intentionally be bad enough to get to the top of the draft. The Chicago to stop being as mid as they're being, the Chicago Bulls need to tank next season and get to the top of the draft. But they have a first round pick that's protected 1-14. Oh, that's this year. Next year, 2026 first, they have it. You got to get to the top of the draft. You got to fire this guy. You got to fire the other guy. You got to get to the top of the draft. But no, there is the Bulls are not tied to really bad contracts, and if they clean house with the organization and tank for the next 3 years, 26, 27, 28, they could turn the whole franchise around. So, no, the Bulls are not worse off than the 76ers, so we're going to delete the Chicago Bulls. So what we have left is the Suns, the Kings, and the Wizards as the 3 franchises that are potentially in worse shape than the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns are way worse. They're in way worse shape. Unless they pull off something miraculous. They have this roster is insane. Bradley Beal, $50 million, almost $60 million a year until 27. Kevin Durant, they're trying to trade right now. Devin Booker, is signed until 2028, and they're offering him a 2-year extension that's going to take him until 2030 at almost $75 million a year. But he's 28 years old. I think they should do that. But top heavy, nothing really going for them. And guys, they don't have their own first round draft pick. Guys, look at this. Look at the Phoenix Suns, bro. They don't have a first round draft pick until 2031. That franchise is so fucked. They absolutely have to trade Kevin Durant for first round draft picks. This is insane, and it'll make you feel a little bit better as a Sixers fan. to look at the Phoenix Suns situation because it's so crazy. It's so crazy that they do not have a first-round draft pick until 2031. And the payroll is what it is. You have a player like Bradley Beal who is making almost $60 million a year. Is what, $50 million this year, $53 million next year, almost $60 million in 2027. He has a no-trade clause. He's mad that Mike Budenholzer told him to play more like Drew Holiday, which he can't do because he can't defend. So that doesn't make any sense. So, maybe they fired Mike Budenholzer just for saying something that's stupid, but Bradley Beal shouldn't be offended by being compared to Drew Holiday because Drew Holiday's better than you. Yeah, the Suns are definitely in worse shape than the 76ers. So there's one team that is in worse shape. What else did I have? Oh, I wanted to talk about the Kings. The Kings are the next one, and the Kings owner, the Kings owner was the driving force behind acquiring DeMar DeRozan and trading De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine. See, this is what the Sixers did when they traded Mikal Bridges in the middle of a draft and they signed Al Horford to a $100 million contract to try to play two centers at the same time. When you see NBA teams do things, right, that make the average fan say, why the fuck would you think that's a good idea? Do you know what I mean? But it's because we grew up watching the game. We watch the game all the time. And so we understand why we feel like that's such a terrible idea. These guys don't watch basketball, dude. These are just rich people. And I've said it before about the Sixers ownership with the whole, it's just billionaires thinking that they're playing 2K. That's exactly what this is. This guy actually was the driving force behind acquiring DeMar DeRozan and trading De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine. This team had a young Tyrese Halliburton and a young De'Aaron Fox on the same squad and ended up with the Bulls leftovers and can't win a play-in game. Because the owner is making decisions. That's so bad. That's so bad. You can't let the owner make decisions. Y'all, whatever job you guys do as a 9-to-5 or whatever you do for work, the owner's not making decisions. If he shouldn't be. He hires a management crew, right? He has a manager, a general manager, assistant managers, experienced people that know how to run a business. The owner shouldn't be. Especially basketball decisions when come on, brother. Can this guy dribble? What odds 1 to 10 in the chat if the Kings owner can dribble a basketball? But anyway, let's look at the Kings and let's decide if they're worse off than the 76ers. How do I get to the teams? Where was I at where I could... let me zoom back out. Here we go. Kings. Are the Kings in worse shape than the 76ers? Payroll. Zach LaVine, $50 million until 27. Sabonis, $50 million until 28, and he's only 28 years old. DeMar DeRozan, $25 million until 27. He's 35 years old. They don't have worse contracts than the 76ers, which is funny because what was it, a couple off seasons in a row where the Bulls were trying to trade Zach LaVine and nobody wanted it because the contract was so bad. The 76ers have managed to sign 2 contracts worse than that. The roster outside of that is absolutely atrocious. I like Keegan Murray. If they want to blow it up, I'll take Keegan Murray. I'll take Keon Ellis. Markelle Fultz is on the Kings. Is that true? But anyway, contract-wise, they're not in worse shape than the Sixers. Because they can, if they find a way to trade Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan is signed for way too long, but it's only $25 million. It's not like it's $50 million. And Sabonis is a great player, and he's only 28. So the Kings actually aren't in worse shape contract-wise than the 76ers, and they have Charlotte's protected pick this year, so that's not going to happen because Charlotte's in the lottery. Unprotected second from Charlotte. They have their own first-round pick next season. They have San Antonio's first-round pick and their own first-round pick at 27. The Kings could tank it out, much like the Bulls, but they have to decide to do it right now. You know, you would have to decide to tank it out right now, especially because you have 2 first-round picks in 2027 and then 28, 29, 30. So, no, as much as I want to laugh at the Sacramento Kings, they are not in worse shape than the Philadelphia 76ers. And then who are we going to talk about? The Wizards. Are the Wizards in worse shape than the 76ers? Let's look at the Wizards' payroll. The Wizards have Jordan Poole at $34 million till 27. Nah, I mean, not really. Chris Middleton is 33 and can't stay healthy. He'll probably retire by 26, honestly, unless he has some miraculous comeback. Their contracts aren't too crazy. They're not tied to massive deals until 2029. And draft picks. Memphis protected 1 to 14. Memphis is going to be outside of 14, so I guess they have Memphis in 25. Washington has the right to swap its 2026 first-round pick protected for selections 9 to 30 if Washington does not convey a first-round pick. This is complicated as shit, but it has something to do with the Phoenix Suns. So, dude, they don't have many draft picks, do they? They have their own in 27. They could end up with 2 first-round draft picks in 26, but not at the top of the draft. First-round protected for select. Washington has the right to swap its 2026 protection for 9 to 30. If I'm giving myself a headache with this one, but yeah, it's the contracts for the Sixers that really put them, dude. It's the contracts for the Sixers that put them in. There it is. There it is, guys. The only team that is definitely in worse shape than the Philadelphia 76ers is the Phoenix Suns. I can only put one team. Look at the Sixers' contracts. Joel Embiid played 20 games right here in 2024-25 and had another knee surgery. 26, $55 million. 27, $59 million. 28, $64 million. 29, $69 million 5 fucking years from now. Bro! Oh my God, that is so bad. Oh my God. Of course, Paul George, $56.5 million in 28. Holy shit. And then look at this roster, bro. On paper, look at this roster. It's literally 2 overpaid, injured old guys and the fucking Delaware Bluecoats, man. The only teams in worse shape than the Philadelphia 76ers are the Phoenix Suns. There's no other answer. I hate my life.